Hey guys, welcome to another recording. This is Gabe Eltaeb, Big Man Comics. I'm here with the amazing Bill Frake. He's the animator of your childhood. You know Iron Giant, Roger Rabbit, How to Train Your Dragon, I believe, at least part
No,
two.
yeah, not that one. Yeah.
Oh, not, oh, Ice Age. Ice Age.
I
Sorry.
see.
sorry.
Okay.
Just many,
There's so
many,
many.
many,
Yeah.
many things. It's a little confusing for me. But we haven't spoken about a week. But how have you been? I wanted to ask you about work-life balance as an artist. But how have you been? Have you been
Oh,
balancing
good.
things?
Yeah, I'm teaching on Fridays, helping out, and just doing family this time of year.
Okay.
And a lot of this stuff, like right now, doing the Oscars, looking at films, and that's a real reveal to me because I'm going to go down and see a film at the theater by myself just to watch the audience, right?
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
I go in for free because I'm an academy, so I get at, it doesn't matter. I can walk out; it doesn't cost me anything. But I look at what the reactions are, who's there, the demographics. How many kids, how many adults, are they bringing their grandkids, or they bringing 18-year-olds? And then I was looking at Box Office Mojo yesterday, and I'm looking at okay, I'm just looking at where the films are running, and Rotten Tomatoes. What's their percentage of
Right.
what's Rotten Tomatoes? And one film, was that Cyrus or something like that? It was like 96. And I'm like,
Whoa.
why is it 96? And it's like a Rambo thing or something, right?
Okay.
Um, but I looked at some of the trailers and it's real violent. But I'm looking at the directors from Finland, and the last Oscar winning in animation was out of Latvia. So the
Oh,
Russian camera guys always had some really good in the 1930s and 40s. They had some Russian cinema we ignored, right?
right.
So I look at a lot of different European cinema, different things. So I study. Um, I could split a movie when I'm watching it, and I'm splitting a movie like, okay, I'm going to watch just the camera. I'm going to watch the main character, and how these environments, or how the main character is being driven by the secondary characters. And then I'm
Right.
watching on a main character film, there's no supportive actor. They just kind of show up. It's all about them, like Rambo, always about them, right?
Right. Right.
And it's a situation that reveals a character. Every situation should teach you something about the character you did not know.
Right. Plot reveals character.
Yep,
Okay.
exactly. And that's
Yeah.
the same thing like in graphic novels and stuff. What the next panel should tell you something you didn't know.
Right. Well,
And
let me ask you about the movie culture in general. Movies basically are an American art form, like so many great things. It's from here. We really mastered it. Hollywood, obviously, you worked in Hollywood forever. I worked on the fringe of Hollywood, comic books more so than anything else. I used to love to go to the movies. The movie theaters used to be packed with such great entertainment. And in the woke era, from about middle of Obama's second term, it really started ratcheting up till still now. It feels like Hollywood, I'll consider myself an outsider when it comes to movies, hates us. It really feels like the actors and the writers and the producers hate their audience. And it makes us, I've talked to other people about this and they agree with me. And they resent Hollywood, the studios, the actors, the writers, all that, for saying these ugly things about us, just calling us bigots. So we don't go. And then we have confirmation bias and we're ready to be insulted by their TV shows and their movies and all that. And, when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So we see this wokeness everywhere. We see this crazy forced diversity and feminism and all this crap that we don't want to see. So we quit showing up. And in like the last 2 3 years, Hollywood, video game studios, all these entertainment companies, they're eating it financially. They're getting killed. You go to the movie theaters, nobody's there. You check Box Office Mojo, they don't do money like they used to. And with
exactly. Yeah.
inflation and time going by, as a Hollywood insider yourself, as an animator, a storyboard artist and all that, do you see the audience's point? Do you get that? Do you pick up on it? Because I know as a quote outsider when it comes to movies, I totally feel it. I feel hated by Hollywood. I do.
Yeah. Well, when another thing, when I go into these theaters, sometimes it's not to watch a movie. I want to see how many people are in there.
Right.
And I notice that, well, there's only these seats available. And I'm like, I'm not going to mention theaters and stuff, but okay, well, this is crowded. I get in there and there's nobody there. Now, don't get me wrong. Are the studios buying the seats? or are I don't understand why the theaters are saying that there's a lot of people in there when there isn't. Right now, I was looking at 2 weeks ago. Hollywood had its worst performance in the theaters,
Yeah, I saw that headline. It was the
and it
worst
was
box
amazing. It
office
was
in
they're not going for
31
the
years.
yeah they're not going for the actors. They what they're trying to do is they're spinning the boat. They don't have an anchor in the water, so they're spinning around, and they're in a doldrum, right? Metaphorically, like a
Well,
boat.
how hard is it to quit saying you hate American Christian classic culture? Quit saying that.
I
You
know.
don't say it about Muslims. You don't say
Yeah.
it about gay people. You don't say it about foreigners. The bedrock, the founding stock, the culture of this country that it's had for 250 years. Quit saying you hate that, Hollywood. Knock it off.
Well, it's crazy. I was shocked in my. I'm teaching inner city kids, helping them how to draw and doing things.
Right,
And what's crazy is they were looking at the Angel films. They're looking at David coming out,
right,
and they were saying, "I can't wait to see this film." And they want good story, good meanings to things. They don't want to be fed something that they don't believe in or whatever. And it's something to where I hate to tell you, it goes back biblically. It goes back to it's all about the money, you know. And if they decided that what you were just saying was what they're making money at, they're
yeah,
literally going to shift, and they can care less about the other stuff. And what it is I think the more people get in at the top that basically decide decide the direction of the film, what they choose to be as a subject matter, what they choose to be in script, what they choose to be stating. It's their narrative and their stories, and their stories that they're saying is what they want at the top. We
right,
support the audience, right?
right.
So when you go if you go to see the David film, which you should, I think is really well done. I've seen the trailers. The look of it, I'm amazed. It's great. There's a very big supportive, and then Angel films too. Some amazing things. They're doing something with the American Revolution, very patriotic. They're doing a lot of stuff, and a lot of people I know are heading in that direction. It might be a slow process because they've had, I think, about 15 years to go in this direction. And
Yeah,
but you gotta, what it is, if we're quiet, they'll stay in that direction.
right.
They're trying to find a new market. And
I
a lot of it, it's almost like the actors and the subject matter. Like if you look at all these films during the season for the Oscars, you can kind of pick one word for um, one word for uh, what all these movies are about, right? It's love, hate. And in
right,
my training at major studios, if you wanted to, you had to have a focal point. You had to say, "This is what I want to say," and everything is kind of built around it. So
right,
if you pick, okay, uh, strong characters, okay, uh, fighting against good over evil, right? Good over evil, and you try and find one word for all the films, and I'm like, that's too coincidental that all these things are leading together because they ride on coattails. In my view, they ride on coattails of the other films for their marketing.
right.
And I think the more you have to in the world, well, in the United States, you got to have options, right? So you got to have something. If you don't want to go to that, like I only go to the theater a few times during the year for the Oscars. So I look at certain things. I can go to the screenings at the major area. I mean, like for the get-togethers. But throughout the year, I'm kind of watching what is the audience. We support the audience. What are we selling to them? What do they like? And hate the word selling to them. It's um, how are we entertaining them?
You're right.
Okay, and it's entertainment like with the graphic novels or comics. It's your time to sit down and entertain, read. You're entertaining yourself. Well, that's all that is. Theater and comics, all this other stuff is just another venue of how to enjoy another part of your life. And nothing worse than bringing a bunch of kids in a car with pizza and all this stuff, and you go out to lunch and they spend 80 to $100, and then the movie doesn't play out as what they were doing in the
Right,
trailers.
right.
And that's I'm not going to this. I've been fooled. So too many
Yeah,
times the parents. the movies are supposed to be used to be for parents or people dating, right?
Right.
And that now what is the group trying to get rid of? Families and dating.
Right.
So
Well,
what are you
it's
selling?
so many of these movies are made by people that don't have marriages or children.
That's what I'm
And
saying. They're making it for themselves.
right. So the Bible has a verse in it that says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks.
Right.
Well, what is in you is what's going to come out of you. So if you wonder why there's all these hateful, morally gray, narcissistic themes,
Yep.
think about the people making it. They're
Yeah.
selfish. They've chosen, and I'll never back down from this, selfishly chosen to never have children or families,
Yep.
because when you don't have kids or a family, then you can just do whatever the hell you want all the time. Of course, it's ultimate selfishness. So, of course, the heroes, and they're not heroes, reflect that. The themes reflect that. You'll notice television when you were growing up, Bill, families, father knows best, this, that, and the other. Then you get into the 90s, Seinfeld, Friends. There's no kids, there's no
Yeah.
marriages.
Right.
There's no sacrifice that I can't do this because I have a wife or I have kids and I have to be there. And family entertainment has been destroyed because the people making it, they don't prioritize family, because
Oh
family
yeah.
means you can't be selfish, So societies are built by the families that inhabit them. That's what society is. Family is the generator of everything we have. The
Right.
reason, it's our reason for being, it's our reason for creating and doing and sustaining abundance. That's
Yeah.
why we have things, is because we have families that we're loyal to and loving to. So when you destroy family culture, you will destroy the arts eventually,
Yeah.
you know.
And
So
I've gone into 25-room mansions, 45-room mansions,
right,
and it's just no kids, no family. You can have a kid in every room, right?
terrible,
And
terrible.
and people walk around showing their stuff. Hey, I got this painting. I got this. It's like my stuff is my children,
Right. Or
right?
their dogs. Oh my gosh,
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Right.
like I'm sure you have animals. I have 2 dogs. I love my dogs. I've had dogs my whole life. They're not people. They're not my kids. They're not
Yep.
my family. I love my dogs. I give them a good life. We pet them. We play with them. We feed them. We keep them safe and healthy. But they're not human beings, and they never will be.
Yep.
And that's
Yeah.
deranged when people replace children with animals. And I'm not so much casting the judging finger of wrath at these people. I feel sorry for them.
Well, when
They don't know what they're missing.
well, society, it's crazy. When you went through Europe in the turn of the century, in Paris and different places, and the animals ate better than the poor.
Terrible.
And what happened? The poor got mad because they are humans and they're being
Right.
traded off by, and all of a sudden it's like they, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be crazy to say this kind of, but they'd almost like eat the dogs just as at the end to show that they, you know, what they were
No,
doing to them.
right. No, I get that. I wouldn't do it, but I understand what
Oh
the
yeah,
statement they're trying to make.
anger. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
wow, that's rage. It's beyond
Right,
anger.
right. But
Right.
yeah, no, that's it's great. There's so much good stuff that you're doing, and you're totally on mark on
Well,
a lot of
let,
this stuff.
let me ask you this. So I picture society like a conveyor belt.
Right.
You have all these steps that happen, and then stuff comes down it eventually, but it takes generations and decades, at least years for some things. Um, we don't have family culture. We haven't had it for 50 years. We've had a rebellious ingratitude. Father is Archie Bunker, the racist idiot.
Right.
We've had that since you were young. What triggered that? Was it the abundance after World War II, and your generation, and not you, but your generation was very spoiled because we
Yeah.
had unprecedented abundance. And I
Right.
think when people are spoiled, they don't appreciate anything. If you don't, none of us, it's not a flaw in baby boomers, it's human, myself included, all of us. You
Yeah.
cannot appreciate things that you don't bleed for. You
Okay.
can't.
Oh, I
That's what
agree.
so
Hold on.
what
Hold on a
started to
second.
destroy
Yeah.
the family as you saw it growing up?
Yeah. Hold on a second. Uh, I'm not into this stuff, but it's here in the house. But Alexa, stop. Okay. I got a background going with like what's okay. Anyway, go ahead. Start.
Yeah, I heard something. I thought your TV was on, but that was her.
No, it's the
The
it's like
thingamajig was talking to you.
I don't, no, go ahead. I'm not a fan. So,
Yeah,
now view it, yes, but not that.
yeah.
So, but anyway, the you were the I think what happened is, and I've heard it before, is that the star, like strong, strong men, like weak people create
Oh,
strong people, right?
right.
You probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, this is weak men create hard times create strong men create good times create weak men. It's a cycle.
Right. Yeah.
And
And it,
we are
right.
in the strong
Yeah.
men of World War II
Right. Yeah.
created really good times and created weak men of the baby boomer generation, you
Yeah.
know. And
Right. Right. And there's a lot of stuff that basically I see that right now there's a battle between that, and that's the thing where it's kind of like, if you want to protect things, what do? You call somebody that's very weak, right?
right.
You call in somebody that can fix it, and that's what I've noticed even in making movies and stuff. It's like filled with mistakes, and
Yeah.
you go in there with a different attitude. Say, okay, you don't go all these little details. You go, what is the problem? Why is this happening? What do you want out of this, right? And what's your goal? And then you go ahead and say, okay, this is what you got to do. And the first thing you do, it's a very dominating, like, this is what you need to do to fix this. Well, from experience, you gave them the answer. And a lot of times they'll water it down to go back to where they were,
Right.
and it won't work. So you get all this like cover, which I think is going on in the industry and stuff. It's covering up what a problem is, and eventually you get so much that they replace somebody at the top and then they fix the problem, but it's not really fixed. It's already kind of bled in. It's
Well,
just a slow.
the glaring example, I think, and you see the fall off, is Pixar.
Yep.
They Me Too'd that guy out of there, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I know
Yeah.
it was in the Me Too frenzy,
Yeah.
and they can't make a good movie anymore.
Yep. Yeah.
Was it Lasseter or Bird? Which one did they kick out of there? I don't remember.
Lasseter. No,
It
Bird's
was
great guy. Yeah,
yeah, it
Lasseter.
was
But I mean, everybody has their. You know what is when you have everything? What do you want? That's the problem. When you have absolutely everything, there's no like the idea you want to buy a car. If you just walked in and bought it, not even get a car, had somebody drive it to your house and said you like this and it's yours, right?
yeah,
But if you had to go and
not
work,
satisfying. It's not satisfying at all.
yeah, no, it isn't, and that's what their whole life is. So what happens? You go ahead and say, I'm going to work on this car. Okay, I probably need this much money. I'm going to work on the weekends. I'll save this, give this to my wife. I do, and okay, and when you get it, you earned it.
Yeah,
So if you believe in it and you fight for it, like somebody
and
says, no, no,
you
don't touch
protect it.
my car.
Yeah, you protect it. Yeah,
And that kind of stuff. So that's kind of lost. The more people are given things through credit, through freebies, I call it,
right.
right? The less they respect it, and then they go ahead and like renters will never take care of a house like an owner.
Oh yeah, we all know that. Go to a rental neighborhood and go to a homeowner neighborhood. You know.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's what it is. Everybody in a homeowner neighborhood got vested. And that's where they protect what they got. That's what's being is it like the looseness of the money to give people it or make people feel better? So the idea of in motion pictures, the more they're spinning in the water with something they want to say, right? But is it what the audience wants to hear? And you start
Right.
to find that sometimes the person says the sky is falling is never listened to until the last minute.
Right. I think of Noah's Ark. He's building the ark
Exactly.
and they're all mocking him. And then the flood comes, like, please let us in. He's like, hey, sorry, I told you.
Right. And a lot of Twilight Zone on that, everything. It's all part of I was watching Twilight Zone and the storylines in that. Man, they nailed Rod Steiger just
Uh, just a
over, over,
genius.
over.
That is some of my someone called that concept the monster of the week.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
and it's like Twilight Zone, X-Files, Star Trek, The Wild
Yep.
Wild West. These shows were just great, like the adventure of the week, kind of problem of the week, really neat things like that. You
Now
know,
Rod Steiger,
I would love to do a comic series like that, you know, an
yeah.
anthology or something.
Well, Rod Steiger, he was a paratrooper in World War II. He went
Oh,
from in training, and he was on the 11th Airborne, which is over in the Philippines, and they had a jump. He had combat and stuff like that, and saw a lot of horrific stuff. And like most of my dad and different things, and so anyway, he jumped out of the airplane, landed, and the guy next to him was his best buddy, and a box of supplies came down and killed him.
Oh,
And what happened? It was so traumatic to turn over or look over, and there's your buddy just flat. Uh, how fast it was. So his whole thing with Twilight Zone was almost therapy to remove his dreams.
right. Okay.
So my big thing is with that horrific thing. My big thing is get out, experience things, do basically live the world and put it into your work.
Right. They say write what you know, but if you haven't done anything, you don't know anything.
Right. So when you look at these scripts and movies that are being made, if you're not going out, you're just going to parties and talking about things.
Right.
You're not doing it. Go out and get your ass kicked.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then
How can you write a fight scene if you've never been in a fight? And
Right.
how on
Right.
earth are grown men, reaching the age of 17 and not having been in fist fights? It's what are you
Oh
talking
yeah.
about?
Right.
Weird.
And it's all being like even the playground as a kid, you'd have metal, rocks. If you fell off, it's your own damn fault. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Damn. But the idea, the more that you go ahead, Alexa, sorry. Hey Cat, hold on a second.
Alexa's
can't.
gonna have to can it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. This is gone. She's cooking Thanksgiving dinner here.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I'm planning for going to go to visit my grandson. So it's like,
Oh, we'll talk about the Thanksgiving menu in a second, but I want to keep going about experiencing things. But go handle what you need to handle.
Well, I'm just saying that I forget where I left off again. Again, that's a perfect example of what's going on with me.
Right.
How that's being intrusive on a very positive conversation.
Right.
And that's really almost a way of keeping your head down with your cell phone, Alexa, all these little things to distract you, the bad movies, different things. I got to filter through so much stuff to find something good. But I know what's good because since my childhood, I've been trained what to see, right and wrong, and all this stuff. So go ahead.
Let me show you a little bit of real world incorporated into my story. So Dean Cain, All-American Lawman. It's like a James Bond, Indiana Jones thing. We start off with an action scene, but then we cut to his real life just to show who he is and who his son is. And
Right.
it's a high school gymnasium. And in the bottom panel there, his son Blake is playing volleyball. And it's pretty tense. It reads like a Karate Kid or Bad News Bears. You got the bad team versus a good team. And it's a 4-page sequence. His son gets hit in the head, but he makes a save. And at the end, he smacks the ball right there and he wins the game. Right? So it's a 3-page sequence. He wins the playoff game. They're going on a playoff next week. But why have this scene? Well, on the 4th page of this volleyball scene, he tells his dad, "You were right. I didn't want to play today because he's not a starter." The starter guy.
Hold on a second. Hey, Alexa, stop.
Just go rip it out of the wall.
Yeah, go ahead.
But so he wins the volleyball game. But why? Why did I put this in? On the 4th page, he goes up to his dad in the red there. They hug and embrace. And he says, "You were right, Dad. He's not a player really on the team. He's a reserve player, but he had to start and play the whole game because the starting player got injured and he was scared to lose the game for his team in the playoffs. And he was going to pretend to be sick or not show up or whatever. And his father told him, no, you do the right thing no matter how you feel about it." That was the theme of the entire book. And the hero has to end up doing that.
Right.
And he says, "You were right, Dad. I could do it. I shouldn't have been scared. I'm sorry." I wrote this because this happened to me when I was 7. Right. I was on a soccer team and I didn't play a lot because I was little and I was one of the backup players and the goalie got injured. And my mom said, "You have to be the goalie on Saturday. We're playing the big team that was undefeated." And I cried. I told her I didn't want to go to the game. I didn't want to play. I don't want to be the one that loses it for my whole team. And the next day I was the greatest goalie on earth. I blocked every shot and we won. And it changed me as a little boy, like, oh, you can be scared and still win. Like I learned that from the experience, not from reading about it, but from doing it. And so I was able to put that into this story for a character moment where we have the son and the father. We could develop their character, a very close and loving son and father. The father's teaching his son good lessons. And the father himself at the end of the movie, when he's fighting the drug cartel, he has to do the right thing, even though he's terrified. So we echo that story over and over. But I only could write about it sincerely and intelligently because it happened to me.
Yes, yes.
And in this left-wing feminist culture, we have the epistemological versus the technical. And epistemological knowledge is book knowledge. I read it. I read it. Like, that doesn't mean crap. You don't really know anything unless you do it. I could read all about Paris, the history from the founding until today, everything about every industry and person and culture, and I could memorize it all, get 10 doctorates in Parisian history, and I would know less than a person who spent a summer there.
Yep. And I'm a big one to live where you're gonna create. And like, whether, like you said, the situation that you learn should be reflected in your art, just everything you're saying. And that's what should happen. And that's what I think is being lost when you have too much, you see very little. Oh, I lost the mic here. You right?
You got to wait 1 second. I have something playing on my computer. I'm trying to turn it off.
Alexis. Alexis talking to your computer.
I hit the space bar and it started playing a QuickTime video, and I think it was.
I was just going to say, Alexa is communicating with your stuff. Hey, we got, you never know.
Yeah, we're having these boomer tech problems, but we're fine.
Right. Oh, I got you.
It was a recording I made for a video I'm going to post, and it just started playing because I accidentally hit the space bar.
Right.
So, yeah. But you were saying live where you're going to create. My stories, the comic books I've written so far, most of them have taken place in Southern California because that's where I live.
Yeah.
I write about places I like, places I've been to, places I'm interested in.
Where do you live? You live in your memories. If you don't have memories, what do you do?
Right. And it'll come through in the story as authentic because I really know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So much isn't said directly, it's felt by you, by the audience. And when you're authentic, they feel it. They know this is really coming out from the truth from him.
Well, I noticed that a lot of actors they're going to go on location to study how to they'll leave the $25 million mansions, and it's like, I'm going to go over to France and study how this this environment was, so I can become a method actor and put it into my work. Well, they're doing it for it's a week. They're sitting down having nice fancy dinners, and they're taking 8 hours during the day and experiencing the peasantry of the area, right, or the food, or whatever the movie's about. They're trying to find what's crazy. Like a lot of the World War II movies that were made, they had to find the World War II veterans to interview them. Like Brad Pitt went to interview the guy for the tank guy.
Fury, right?
Fury. And he basically went in to see this old timer. He said, "Who are you?" He says, "Brad Pitt." "Yeah, okay, what do you want?" Didn't know anything about him. And Brad's like, "Oh, what?" But what it was is that if you looked at it, that's exactly who this guy was to fight in that situation. He's like, "Who are you?" He didn't care about him. It's like, "What are you doing in my area?" Right? And that's exactly what the movie was about. If you think about it, it was like, people attacking him and being in his area and stuff like that. And if he wants something, he goes into their area. Right. So if you go back to a very, very simple, if you could state something in one sentence or one word, that is the answer to your films, answer to your scripts. Everything else is just supporting character moments to tell you that.
Right.
And a lot of times people will overdraw, overstate, do too many things, and lose the fine line. I always put the word I want to say underneath my panels. So I go back and forth, and then when I'm done, I show it to somebody that doesn't know anything about anything and say, "What do you think about this?" "Oh, they're happy." "Well, I thought they were angry." "What did I do wrong?" "Well, I don't see. Well, it's the eyebrows or something." And I say, "Okay, I'll fix it." But I'm willing to change it because the audience, again, did not know what I was trying to say. But they don't have the experience.
They only know what you put on the page.
Right.
That's it. So you have to do it with brevity. You could literally one for one explain every molecule, but then that takes focus away. And the human beings cannot focus on everything because then your story or your drawing becomes wallpaper, just a confetti of too much. And you have to have focus in everything you do. I came upon, you know who Marcos Muestre is? He's like a legend in doing what you do.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah,
know
yeah,
him?
yeah. I don't know him personally, but I know the work.
Yeah, if you haven't read these, he has about 7 books. Framed ink, framed character design.
Oh, yeah,
I read framed environment design on Saturday.
yeah.
It's like a
Hold on a
100.
second. Yeah, I'll be right back.
Okay. I read this on Saturday. It's like 205 pages. I read almost the whole thing. I had read like the first 30 pages like a month ago, and then I got caught up doing a lot of projects. And you back? Okay. You just have to unplug. Did you just have to unplug Alexa?
Yeah, or no,
Oh, oh, you have them. Well,
all of them.
okay. Do you? Okay, I'm gonna. Well, if we're one upping each other, I have all of them, and he remarked all of them and sketched in them.
I
He
have.
drew it.
These are all the first drafts. No, I'm just
Okay.
kidding. No, no, that's great. I
Well,
love when I saw this stuff. It's these guys so good. He worked for DreamWorks and all that. Yeah,
yeah, brilliant, brilliant.
yeah.
I think those are the best books besides Andrew Loomis I have on art.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
I think that like Marcos understands, and not only does he understand everything about storytelling and design and drawing, he knows how to explain it in an
Yep.
accessible way.
Oh
Because
yeah.
there's so many guys that know everything and they can't tell you what they're doing.
Right.
You know,
Well, that's
so,
the toughest thing I remember when I first started to teach. A buddy of mine was saying, "Hey, you're going to teach a class. I don't know how to explain what I do." I had to reverse engineer and say it's almost like you can do it on computer because as you draw, you will go back into what you started with and kind of talk about it. But if you had to tell somebody, I'm gonna, okay, this is you put a line on the page, you dictate your the environment, and then put your character in it. But again, you got to go back and say, well, what's my character doing? The environment doesn't mean anything unless my character is doing something with it. So you
right.
got to, and all trying to explain what you do sometimes is really some people can't cross that wall,
Yeah.
and they can draw stuff, but they just do it. I don't know what I do. I just do this.
Right. It's so subconscious for them, and teaching itself is a skill. You know,
Yeah.
it's a very very precise skill being a teacher, and you know, not everyone has that, and not everyone bothers to learn it. But I think his books are essential for anyone that wants to be an illustrator or designer or work in
I
animation
agree.
or video games.
I
They
agree.
are required reading. I've had them. I got the first one like a year ago,
Yeah.
devoured it in about a day,
Yep.
and then just ordered the rest. And then I found out that the new one came out around Father's Day, and I had my family get that for me. And I brought them all to Comic-Con because I have my own booth for my company at Comic-Con,
Yeah. Yeah.
San Diego Comic-Con. And he autographs these. He comes to Comic-Con like 1 or 2 days every year.
Wow.
And it's 3 booths away from me. So it's like 30, 40 feet away from my booth. So
I'll
I just
come
went
down
over
for
there.
the Comic Con with you. I mean, I'd love to come down there.
Yeah, I'd love to have
Hey,
you.
Carlsbad, because I want to, I want to see things, and I love to, meet the people that do the stuff. And you find out when you look at a person. This is what's amazing. You look at a person, you don't know what they do. You know how much they think, and
Right,
you project on somebody. Oh, that's a businessman. They say, no, I'm going to a funeral. Right?
right,
It's always a
right.
misdirect. And you look at somebody that's like not, not dressed up that much, and all of a sudden, oh yeah, well, what do you do? I don't know. I haven't done anything for like 20 years. I'm a multi millionaire. I just hang out with my wife. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So you got to ask people. My first thing is not what your job is, but what's your hobby? What do you do to relax?
Right.
That erases your problems during the day.
What is yours? Let's get into it. What is your hobby? I'll tell you what mine is, but you tell me yours first.
I like to social and meet people, right?
Okay.
And I learn from each person, like just talking with you. It's just out of the blue, you know. And
Mm.
it's just like, and this is what I like about life is if I didn't do this, I wouldn't be doing this stuff with you, right? So it's just kind of like,
Right.
hey, how's it going? And it's like, what? But you have to have somebody that's willing to open up certain things. Also, people will dictate like how important somebody is, and do I want to be with them or not? Right?
Okay.
And everybody has something about them that is wonderful, whether it's good or bad or what. You find something about them. It's like, why are you this way? Why did you get this way? Why?
That's a new thing I'm learning is that everyone has tremendous value and something amazing about them.
Right.
That's a worldview that I'm forcing myself to accept as fact. You
I
know, I had
learned.
a lot of childhood neglect and trauma, and what you end up doing in that when you're just like an abandoned, neglected kid is you make the entire world co-defendants against your parents, you know,
Yeah.
too. That
Yeah.
you project onto the world that they're like your neglectful people that are supposed to take care of you. It's like, oh, they won't help, they don't like me. That you just subconsciously imagine that everyone is also like that. Like
Yeah.
that
Right.
parent that was never there. And it's something I've had to undo as an adult, just barely in my 40s, to learn to even learn that I thought that subconsciously.
Well, you know what I learned? You go back to the child. You go back down, go see my grandson, and watching him grow and what he's learning and what's his interest in different things. And I'm seeing myself, right?
Right,
And if you don't have a family, you don't reflect back to where you began,
right.
right?
Well,
And I'm looking at like when a child first learns how to talk, the first thing they learn, just I'm going back to simple statements. They say no, and it
yeah,
controls people. Like I want to, come on, we got to go. No, right? And if they go no, right? And then it's like no, you negotiate. I want it. We're going to do this. So you do this if you want this, right? Okay. No, okay. If you, well, we're not going to do it then. Okay. And then it's like they go along with it and get, if it's in goodness, right? You teach them. So what I've learned is like why, when a kid, the word why. So you can hold a very simple conversation. A kid holds a simple conversation to get information from you. And what if you say, we're going to the store to get some food? Why? Well, because dad is coming home for Thanksgiving dinner. Why? Well, he works. Why? Well, because he needs some money for the house. Why? And you keep going through why. The kid only says why, but he's getting all this information,
right,
right? So
right.
when I look at my drawings, I say why, and I
Yes,
put
of
the
course.
information,
Right. That's
and I
brilliant.
look at it, and it's like, where am I starting, right? So that's another thing. Why am I starting, right? Where do I want to look? Why am I looking, right? And I do this stuff, and I talk to my inner self when I'm doing these things, and I don't want to put, like, again, all these details that the kid gets from you. They don't need it. They just need the reason to be, right? So
Right.
the idea of, if I'm doing a drawing, I don't want to get into the details. I sent you a link with some of the stuff I had, different things, sketches. Um, all that stuff is really multiple ideas. It's my thinking and visuals. It's not the answer. It's just me playing around with staging and moving things. And I was looking at Mark Davis. There was a video that was on YouTube about the book that Pete Docter and those guys did. Beautiful, amazing book. One of the 9 old men at Disney's.
What's the
And
book called?
Mark Davis.
Okay.
You love that guy. Haunted Mansion, Pirates of
Right.
the
Oh
Caribbean.
yeah.
Okay.
He's the one that infused so much comedy in
Well,
his
that
work.
guy, that book is the most great book that I've. He goes through everything, how he drew through the whole history of the rides, the history of every. One of the greatest books they put out on Mark. He was a very kind of quiet character because he studied African art, New Guinea, worldwide. But he always said, "Is this the right staging?" And I'm looking at when that book came out. It's like, wait a second, this is what I've learned over my life just by instinctive. He's doing his instincts, but he's staging what main character is doing and what information is under supportive which is just like story narrative. Everything you're doing in your comic there is like all this other stuff around there is giving you supportive information to tell you that what's happening in that scene. But what's happening in that scene is directly at you. It's larger, or it takes focus. It's a visual focus. You're looking at the main statement, and everything
Right.
else is just little side stories to help you with that.
Is this I'm looking it up right now. Mark Davis in his own words by Pete Docter and
Yeah,
Christopher Merritt.
I'll pull it up. I'll show you. Hold up.
Okay. All right, let's see. Because if so, I'm sending it to my family in the group text for a Christmas gift for me. Oh, he's not there to hear me with his headphones. But for those of you that don't know, Mark Davis is responsible for so much of the great fun at Disneyland.
This
Let's,
that's Mark there,
yeah.
and this is the book.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. There's volumes 1 and 2 available
Yeah,
on
one and two. You should
Amazon.
get both volumes.
Well, they have
It's a
Yeah,
set.
they have it here for $114, and
Yeah.
it collects volumes 1 and 2. Yeah, I text that to my family, so someone will get me that for Christmas. But
You're gonna
yeah,
love. You're gonna love it. It's all everything I'm saying is what I used to have conversations with him. You know, he come in the studio. He wasn't working there, but he pop in and say hello to people and things. But I'd show him stuff or do things, and you would have. Uh, Again, he's doing words that are ahead of me because I hadn't learned it yet. But now it reflects back like, oh, that's what he was saying.
right,
But this is
right.
what it was. And when I look at the stuff that I love the most, like Haunted Mansion and Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, I'm a big fan of Ken Anderson. He was a guy I used to write letters to before I went to the studio. Uh, and he literally was so nice. They couldn't believe that he had time to write me a letter. But what I did was I hand lettered all my letters with calligraphy and cartoons and different things. And it wasn't just a letter with a piece of paper, it was a piece of art. And when I sent it to him, I think he felt, I don't know, but I think he felt like, well, this kid really, he's got some get up and go. He really wants to do things. He works hard. You can't do this stuff unless you worked hard, right?
Right.
And it wasn't, when I look back at the stuff, it's actually, I'm not patting myself, but it was like pretty good. And I'm like, wow, I'd write back to a kid that did this,
Right.
right?
Yep.
I gave the best shot I had. And he replied. So it's just like, oh, write me back, send me a photo, right? That nobody's going to reply to that. But if you put effort into something, just like your stories and everything you're doing, you put effort into it, you put your heart and soul in it, people are going to feel that. If you
Yeah,
don't have a
it
heart
has
and
to.
soul, if you don't have a heart and soul, people don't want it. Guess what's going
Oh,
on? Nobody
get it
wants it.
out of here. Get
Yep.
it out of here.
The
Yeah.
whole industry, I think, is just like, where's your heart and soul?
Yeah.
And nobody
Well,
wants it.
we've been going for over a half hour. We're going to close it up here in a second, but I want to transition since Thanksgiving is just in 2.5, 3 days.
Yeah.
I want to ask you if you agree with me about Thanksgiving. First of all, I don't like Thanksgiving dinner. I don't want to wait all day. I want it at lunch. We've always had it at noon since I was a little boy. My grandparents would do it at like noon. I carried that into my family when I got married with my wife. We put that turkey in the morning, and then we're eating Thanksgiving at noon, and then you can eat the rest of the day. We're snacking the rest of the day. You brine the turkey, homemade gravy, homemade everything homemade. I don't want things out of boxes and cans. We're chopping things, we're sauteing, we're frying, everything homemade, but it's homemade gravy. Would you bring me a can of gravy? I'll call the police. And I don't want the can of cranberry. We're
Right.
making it. It's a pound of cranberries, a cup of sugar, some orange juice, a little cinnamon if you want, and you do that simmered. It's really good. Everything homemade though. Do you agree? Am I out of control? Oh, also, nothing weird in the stuffing. If you put olives, I went to a house that had oysters in the olives once. I almost left. You can't
Yeah.
do things like that. It's disgusting. What's your Thanksgiving? What do you think of what I said?
Exactly the same. Exactly
Okay.
the same. And that's why my wife's cooking. Alexa, give a timer on Alexa. How many more minutes on this? And
Right.
we're bringing that fresh stuff up from around here, right? So, but what's so funny is I call it crunching softies. If I'm eating
Oh,
ice cream, I don't want walnuts in it, right?
oh,
I
okay.
want I want like the same like gelato. I want it to be one flavor to clear your palate. I don't want like
Ah,
something to confuse me, right? Which to me maybe goes back to my drawings because when you got something that's not supposed to be there, you notice it and it
oh yeah.
distracts you from the main point of what you're looking at, which is almost parallel to the story, right? So I always take food as being a metaphor for storytelling.
Wow.
Now, I could say, let's put all this Thanksgiving dinner into a blender and you could get a smoothie.
Eeh,
Nobody would eat it. Okay, see?
never,
Now,
never.
that's what you're doing with a story. You blend it all together and you don't want it. Now, if you put out, I'm going to have the cranberries on the plate, I'm going to move it around or serve it individually, right? You get a pure taste of what you're selling, what you're
Right.
metaphorically, right? So I'm always looking at was this meal really good until I put too much salt in? I screwed everything up.
Right.
So you got to what you got to do is like Thomas Edison did is when he interviewed people, he'd have dinner, lunch with them, and then he'd say a person would ask, "Do I have a job or not?" And he'd say, "Well, you don't have a job because you're a scientist and you just took your food and ate it without testing. You put salt on it before you ate it. Well, how'd you know you needed that?"
Right.
So
Right.
the thing is, you gotta test it and taste it as you go, like a story. You can't just put it out there and serve it because I didn't understand the main character. That's because you put too much salt in there, right?
Wow.
So I parallel, like you were saying, you had a background and your dad was a chef or something or
Yeah,
culinary.
on my mom's side, they owned a Mexican restaurant and tortilla factory for almost 50 years. My
Okay.
dad's side, he's been a gourmet chef since the mid-70s and is a wonderful chef, my dad.
I will never eat Mexican food unless it's homemade, right? It's stuff
Right.
they put in the boxes. Now we got a guy down the street. When I went to San Diego, the first thing I did was go across to the restaurant and like just have a great uh tostada, rancho chili relleno, and I just like, oh my god, this is great, right? And it was like the essence of the environment I was in, because Spain owned California, and the food it should be like Spain. Well, I'm not going to eat at McDonald's in California. I don't eat McDonald's, but if I eat a thing that literally puts me out of the location, just like a story, um, I don't. It's confusing. I don't
I
like
I
it.
I can't understand. I live in San Diego, as you know. I live 22 miles from Tijuana. I cannot fathom why there are Taco Bells in this city. How is
No,
it
the
possible?
tourists, the
You know, we
tourists.
have we have so many authentic taco shops, and if it's not good enough on the San Diego side, you can cross the border and have some of the most amazing street tacos in Tijuana. I go down there. I have
Yeah.
a Sentry Pass. A Sentry Pass lets you cross the border without waiting in the long line. It's like $129. It lasts 5 years. It helps you on the airplane too with the TSA thing. But if
Oh
you
yeah.
live in San Diego, you should have a Sentry because if you don't and you cross into Tijuana, the line to come back can be 3-4 hours.
Oh
I come
man.
back now, it's 5 minutes to come back now because I have the
Oh,
Sentry
next time
Pass.
we go out there, we should go down and grab some of that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I go to Tacos La Huera. It's like 3
Okay.
blocks from the border. You walk across the border into Mexico, and you can walk to La Huera, and you get these handmade, freshly made to order tortillas. She
Oh
puts them
yeah.
on the thing, squishes them, they put them on the comal, and they toast them up. Fresh meat, beans, cilantro, onion. It's insane. And
My
they're like
my my
two
my
bucks.
one of my brother-in-laws is Mexican, and we was talking about the tamales and put a penny in it with the water, and the penny goes take 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 take, and when the penny literally, it's that you ask somebody who's older who's done this. It's actually when it's done. You can hear now they're getting rid of pennies, right?
Right,
But
right.
yeah, I forget exactly how the process works, but it was like
Never heard of that.
yeah. Let me ask my wife. She goes, "Hey, what's that penny thing with the tamales, Cat? The tamale penny with the tamales? No, when you had in the frying pan with the water for Mexican food. Yeah, and a penny. Remember, it rotates. It kind of. How do you do it? Yeah, but then why is the penny in the pan with the water? Okay. Okay. So the penny. Did you?
I
Did
heard
you?
that. So when you make for the audience out there, when you make tamales, you put a corn husk, you put the masa, which
Right.
is the corn dough, you put the
Right.
meat, and then you wrap it up, and you put a little bit of water and you steam them. You're
Yep.
not boiling them, you're steaming them. Well, if you run out of water, you're gonna burn the bottoms of the tamales. So what I think I heard her say is they put a
That's
penny in there and it'll wiggle around in the boiling steam water. And when it stops wiggling, you know you ran out of water.
exactly. That's
So there
exactly.
you
It won't
go.
burn your tamales. But
And you
that
can
comes.
hear that little clackety clackety clack. And if you stop hearing it, that's trouble. It's like when you microwave popcorn.
Yeah.
When you stop hearing the popping, you better turn it off. Or you're going to burn the popcorn and
Yeah.
stink
And
up the
that
whole
it comes
house.
from an older, like a grandmother that did this,
Right,
right? The old
right,
days.
yeah.
So, but
So
those little tricks, like you said, in our stories and everything we're doing, those little tricks come from don't ignore the old people, which a lot of people,
right,
we don't want them. Everybody was saying, the employment in Hollywood is like you're over a certain age, goodbye, right?
but see, that's so stupid
It is.
because we're all standing on the shoulders of giants. It's like we only have what we have based upon the knowledge of the people from the past.
Yeah.
You didn't wake up this morning and create everything. You were standing on millennia of human trial and error. To get rid of that past, you're going to start to have to make the old mistakes again. Traditions are solutions to problems. That's what
Right.
they are,
Yeah. And
you
that's
know.
you're talking to me. I met so many historical people in my career, and I'm like a gateway portal to tell you what I was hearing. But again, it's not in the books. That's the other thing. Everybody thinks now this Mark Davis book is amazing, Pete Doctor, and basically it's something that they really cared. They knew this guy. They had experience with him. They went to his house, had dinner. So they lived the dream to show what he was doing. And literally, you have the option to talk to this person through that book,
Wow.
right? And
Okay.
that's the thing where when you look into drawing techniques, right? Framed ink, you got to know the person. You got to see the work. So this is their mind. This is what they were doing, right?
Yeah.
And when I first started, there was no books on this. These all the books now didn't exist. So we
Right.
had to find the person, and I would like we would learn from everybody. Go to see people, Disney's. They would come see us, and it was a Renaissance school of learning from all these people. Well, what's happened now is people are so misdirected. There's always these middlemen. Not to say YouTube, but if you don't know what you're looking at, you don't know the people's names. It's just dead. It's you're not even you can't even type in how to find these people unless somebody told you, like Mark Davis book, right? Oh, you
Right.
got to try this. You got to communicate with the artist and be socially connected, not on social media, but talk to each other and find out what do you like, what you dislike, and that's what they used to do in the French Toulouse-Lautrec. They go
Well,
out to lunches and do stuff and talk about how to do this.
I think this puts a nice bow on the conversation. We talked about the end of family culture ruining movies.
Yeah.
Um, there's scientific study that shows the father that males do a thing that women don't do, and this is not a criticism of women; it's just a difference. If a father takes his family to church, the children will retain his religion like 90 something percent of the time. If the mother does it, it's like 17%. You can extrapolate religion into just general culture in culture in general, cultural patrimony. So our traditions, our ways, how we function in the world, what the world is, what you are, son, and what your place in is, that comes from the father, our understanding of the outer world. Mother is inner world, comfort, safety, nourishment, clothes, blankets, food. That's what the mother's main function is. The father is, okay, let's go out into the world and kill a bear. Let's do it. I'll show you how you can do it. We can defend the village. And here's our traditions and our songs and our weapons and our training and our, the way we camp to do the hunt. All of that comes from the father. And since we've destroyed father culture, we've destroyed that oral tradition of I'm the elder, you're the younger, and here's how you do it. If I could pay to have a guy like you or Marcos Muestre, like live at my house for like a year and just say, Bill, I want your brain. Put everything you know about design and storytelling, put it in my head. Do whatever you want to me, drill me, punish me, teach me like a boot camp. That would be invaluable to me to like be around guys like you full time. You had that at your studios. And when I worked for Warner Brothers, the first 3 years, we had a studio here in San Diego where we made, the comics, Batman and all that. And I worked with my heroes. They were 20, 30 years older than me. And it was like getting my doctorate in art. I would bring them my artwork. I remember I was inking a Superman story for this holiday comic book in 2009. So I was working at the studio all day, coloring comics digitally. Then I was coaching Pop Warner football for 3 hours. Then I would ink Superman pages. So I was, working like 16 hours a day. And I would bring the inks into the studio and show them to Scott Williams. He's a legendary comic book inker, one of the most famous ever for like 40 years now. And I would show him the pages. I say, okay, tear this apart. Don't tell me what's good. I already know what's good. Tell me what's wrong with this. I remember one night I was so tired, I was inking it and I messed up on the back, the hamstring of Superman's leg. The paintbrush slipped, but it was like a centimeter. It was a tiny little mistake. I didn't get white out or white paint and fix it. I said, nobody's going to see that. I take it to Scott Williams the next day, like I'd been taking in my pages. And he's like, oh, this is good. I remember him going, oh, I love the texture on these rocks. Because I would do this thing where I would bend the bristles of the brush and then get this pull, the tactile things you could do with a
Yeah.
brush.
Right.
And I would make these beautiful rocks and stuff like this texture. And he points at the hamstring. It's tiny on the page. He's all, what the hell is this? It looks like you don't even know how to use the tools. And I was so happy when he said that, like, I am in the right place.
Right.
I am in the right place. These guys are masters. He saw this thing that the readers will never see. It was it blew my mind when he caught that. I thought
Well,
it was
you know
amazing.
what it is you are a super scanner. You could look at something, which I'll do, you'll do, and you could scan it really quick, and you could see an anomaly that's not right. Most people can't even do it. It's been for it's the experience that you have allows you to scan something and isolate something's weird over here. Let's fix.
Right,
That's what a doctor. You're like a medical doctor. You're
right,
scanning a patient, and the patient is talking to you. Like you can't tell if somebody's in pain. You get pain 1 to 10 or something. You don't know. You can't tell. You have to have the patient talk to you. That's one of the hardest things in being a doctor is having the drawing. Like I go back to the drawings here. Have the drawing talk to you,
right.
right? And you see something like, why am I looking over there, right? And you're a detective, and basically being a detective is you're solving a crime of like this should do this, but why this is, uh, why is this happening and why am I this not working, right? It's you're a scientist too. You're a doctor, scientist.
Right,
That's why in the Renaissance they had doctors, scientists, sculptors, architects. Everybody worked together.
right,
Now
right.
everybody's isolated. You don't get this cross pollination. But go
Yeah,
ahead, you show me some stuff there. You're
yeah, I'm trying to find those pages. I found a couple of them, but
that's pretty
I'm
good.
looking for the page that has the leg. I think I found it. Hold on, let me open these two pages. This is from 2009, many moons ago.
Wow, you got
Hold
great
on.
archival skills.
Thank you. Well, I typed into the search DC holiday because I knew it was called the DC holiday special. Where?
Okay.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here's the hamstring. Look at this. You see that? You
Oh
see
yeah,
that thick, thin, thick?
yeah.
I screwed that up. Look at how small that is. How did he find that?
Oh,
How
that's
in the
great.
world? How in the world? But see that there was a Gollum snowman, and he
Yeah,
loved
yeah.
texture
Uh,
because I was
uh,
getting these beautiful pulls on this stuff. It
right.
was really pulling, and I blooped this after coaching football. I blooped it right down. I was like, nobody's gonna see that. I don't have to fix it. How in the world did he see that?
Well,
You
one
know?
of the things we learned when I was working at the studio too, because I was key cleanup on a lot of films, um, that thick and thin. Now you got to do this with a pencil, but it was
Yeah,
like very much thick and thins that you'll see the early Disney artwork has amazing line work. If you look at some of the best stuff to look at Disney is the animation tests like Pinocchio or something. You look at the pencil drawing animation tests, not the
yeah.
finished film, because the ink and paint girls would put a brush stroke and do stuff like comics, and they would ink the line, but there's so much energy in the actual pencil test. You can actually see on YouTube. You can watch Pinocchio pencil test for a certain sequence.
Yeah.
You'll It's just amazing to watch these drawings move
I've,
around.
I've always, I think all of us who illustrate know that more often than not, the sketch, the pencils, just they have more life than the inks.
Oh
They
yeah,
just do. They're just because the inks are so final and the pencils are more rough and coarse. And that roughness is the thing of beauty when it comes to energy because it's not completely defined. Inks are completely defined and there isn't much for your imagination to do. So inking is because a lot of people dismiss inking in comics. Oh, you're tracing. Oh, a good inker is not tracing. A
oh yeah,
good inker is embellishing the pencils.
right.
Yes, not just yes to the pencils. Yes, and they're having to capture the energy because the pencil has way more energy typically. So inking, it's a high degree of difficulty to get the inking to really sing the way the pencils do.
Well, like when I was working on Mickey's Christmas Carol, and you pull people around because you're not always just working on one character, you're working on many of them. But I was pulled over by Rick Hoppy, who just passed away, an amazing talent, and he taught me a lot about the cleanups and stuff. But we were working with Glenn Keane, who was doing Willie the Giant, and Glenn worked with a very thick block leaded, square leaded piece of like 6B, 8B, 10, whatever it was, and it's sculpted energy. And when we got down to cleaning it up, you got to put a line on that energy. That was
Right.
the hardest thing, is like, where do you put that line? And Matt O'Callahan was working on it. I was working a little bit, and Rick Hoppy, they needed extra people. But I had started with Matt in the training program. Rick and I used to go over. He was a great teacher and stuff. But anyway, the hardest thing was no, you got to put it over here, not on the outside of the line. You got to find where the real energy was. That's like going back to the finalization of inking. Like, you can kill it or keep it, you know.
Right.
And no, his stuff is great. What you're doing, you know. So
Yeah, that's I always wondered, like, because here's a good example. I'll show you, and we'll have to go after this because we've gone an hour. But Gene Colan, he was a great artist for I think Marvel and DC and all that. And he did hold on, open image and new tab. I'm trying to get this big. Oh, I gotta find a big version of it. I can't find it. But he would do these pencils, and they would have to translate it to ink. Can you imagine? I'm going to show you this. Can you imagine being handed this and told that you need to ink this off of his pencils? I'll show it to you really quick, because I would want to say no. I mean, I would take the challenge, obviously, but I'd be so worried about screwing it up. Imagine trying to ink this
oh yeah,
with
right.
all those gray tones.
Oh man,
You
yep,
know,
right.
that would be something. But I think I found inks of that actually. Hold on, let me show you.
When I
It's
was over at Marvel, I worked with Alex Nino and
oh wow.
and oh god, yeah,
The Filipino invasion of the 60s and the 70s was remarkable. I
well, that
met Tony DeZuniga, my
yeah,
favorite comic book illustrator of all time. He was a architectural designer at first, I believe. Nestor Redondo.
I worked alongside Nestor.
Oh, really? I have
Yeah,
his Bible story book. I
he
have that.
wanted to. He was going to sell me one of his paintings to pay his mortgage on something. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It's like half of my cost of my mortgage. But he had these beautiful paint. I'm like, God, these guys are. And they used to go out into the jungle to do their drawings, right? And they go
Right.
out in the Filipino jungle with all the illustrators and stuff, and just go to the huts, and they were so naturalistic. But man, they could draw drapery.
Oh my gosh. I don't
Very
think
very
there's
religious.
a better guy using negative space and almost like Albrecht Dürer etching than Nestor Redondo.
Yeah.
When I
Oh
see
yeah.
some of the curling, flowing, negative space in his drawings, it blows my mind. Now, here's this example.
Well,
We have
Albert
these.
Dürer you brought up. Eric Larson, who's in one of the 9 loved the posing that Albert Dürer did,
Yeah.
and the etchings that he did for the Bible were like absolutely amazing stuff. But his drawings of the judges and the courts and stuff is just a phenomenal with grease pencil. But go ahead.
Yeah. Well, we'll close on this because we've gone an hour. We're supposed to go a half hour. But you see, the inks are excellent. They're outstanding. But you
Who did?
see the difference. You
But who
see
did the
it.
inking? Did you do it?
I don't know if he did it himself. It just says Gene Colan at the well. There's another name under his, and I can't read it. And kudos to the inker because they did a great job. But there's just something about the pencils that's
Oh,
buttery,
I tell you.
that's warm. That's to me, pencil drawing is the ultimate form of drawing. It's there's things with ink that you can't do that you
You
can
know
do with.
what I like to do sometimes? I'll put it in Photoshop and I'll put a complete tone underneath it,
Oh yeah,
right? And when I'm teaching the kids, I'm trying to explain. I said, look at Edward Degas, and basically I was saying, look at where it's in pink, blue, yellow paper, different things. They
right.
had they had no paper back then. There was no art supply store, so they take white butcher paper. This is a teacher that taught me in 1889 when I was 20 and he was 90, right? Um, anyway, he told me they take the oil and all the sepia, the ochres and stuff they had from the paintings, and put it on the rag, their cleanup rag, and squash it over top the white paper, and it would make these like sparkly colors because it was particulars from the paint tubes, and then they'd have all this like so. Then when you did a line drawing, it became like putting a layer on this stuff, and it
Right.
changed the whole personality of the drawing.
So they had necessity being the mother of invention.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I had a pencil drawing like this and I wanted to color it, I would take it into Photoshop and use gradient maps.
That's
You
it.
know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
And take it
you can assign colors to different values of gray,
right, like
you
this
know,
stuff right away, like that.
right, and yeah, so I can add,
Yeah.
you
So
know,
the
so
gradient, right. And what I do is I set it to it's a line work. I don't know. I did that with some of the little books I did. I was just playing around. It changed the whole mood of everything. And color is an emotion that'll change your mood.
right. Okay, well, we've gone an hour. We can't go forever. But thank
You
you
had a
for
couple
joining me.
questions once you're offline. You had a couple questions too.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay, guys, follow me on socials everywhere. Gabe Eltaeb, Big Name Comics. Go to bignamecomics.com and we'll talk to you later. All right, bye bye. And